Oh boy, do we now have a series, ladies and gentlemen. Edmonton takes Game 5, 5-3 in Florida to force the series to a sixth game back in Edmonton. I have some thoughts on the matter. There's also been some trades going down today. Jacob Markstrom headed to New Jersey for Kevin Ball in a first next year. And then you got Ty Dellandrea going to San Jose for a fourth-round pick going back to Dallas next year. As well as Barclay Goodrow is now a member of the San Jose Sharks, claimed off waivers when the Rangers put him on there. Clears up some cap space for the Rangers. Good move for them. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about whatever is going on in the Stanley Cup Final. This is one of the best games of the playoffs, if not the best. The second period was probably the best period of hockey I've seen in a very long time, and let's get right into it. 14:30, Edmonton scores shorthanded as they are the first team in history of the Stanley Cup Final to open the scoring with back-to-back shorthanded goals in back-to-back games. It's Connor Brown with his second of the playoffs unassisted to make it 1-0. In the second period at 18:02, Edmonton scores a power play goal as Zach Hyman to make it 2-0 with his 5th of the playoffs, or 15th of the playoffs, from Bouchard and McDavid to make it 2-0. 15 minutes, Edmonton scores again. It's Connor McDavid with his 7th of the season. Great goal by him. From Foegele and Bouchard to make it 3-0. Edmonton is up 3-0 in Florida, and I even said, this game is over. Edmonton had been dominant to that point. The game switches at one moment, and that's this goal right here by Matthew Tkachuk. 13:07, Florida gets the goal from Matthew Tkachuk with his 6th of the playoffs from Rodriguez to make it 3-1. All the air just got pushed right back into the building, and the energy of the crowd was electric, and the Panthers fed off of it. However, the Oilers do get a power play, and Connor McDavid decides, I'm going to go through everyone and pass this puck. 8:06, it's an Edmonton power play goal to Corey Perry with his first of the playoffs. McDavid and Bouchard with the assist once again. And for McDavid, he is now 5 points away from breaking the all-time playoff points in a playoff record set by Gretzky. He's 4th currently all-time. I believe he has passed Gretzky twice, and I think Lemieux's one of them. I'm not exactly sure what's the order. But and then Evan Bouchard, I believe, has now taken the full record of assist in a playoff or maybe points by a defenseman in the playoffs. It's one of those two. But Bouchard breaking the record books. When you're breaking records like that, you possibly have future Hall of Fame in your resume, and he's a young defenseman who's got a lot still to prove. He's had a phenomenal season. He could be a top defenseman for the Oilers going forward once they get his fully signed, because I don't believe his extension has existed yet since he's not ready, can't be eligible for one. I'm not sure. 7:52, so right after 2 minutes where Florida comes right back here, Florida comes back a minute later. Not even a minute later. It's about 20 seconds later. It's Edvin Rodriguez with his 7th of the playoffs from Montour and Bennett to make it 4-2. Edvin Rodriguez has been the best player for the Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final, albeit admittedly so. However, I do think there's been a change in the Conn Smythe favorite. Sergei Bobrovsky over these last 2 games has not been the playoff Bob. And that 8-goal game, this game, Connor McDavid's so close to breaking records. I think win or lose, Connor McDavid is going to win the Conn Smythe for playoff MVP. And it'll be the first time since 2003 that a non-winning player, if Edmonton does go on to lose the series, first time that a losing team's player has won playoff MVP since 2003 in Jean-Sébastien Giguère. And only the second time a skater has won it, going back to Reggie Leach in 1976 with the Philadelphia Flyers. 15:56 of the third period, Florida comes out of the third. They're dynamite. The second half of the second, they were dominant. Edmonton just couldn't wait to get out of the period. In the third, it's the same thing. Florida just constant pressure, nonstop, and they get one. Oliver Ekman-Larsson scores at 15:56 with his 2nd of the playoffs from Tkachuk to make it 4-3. And then it's bedlam the remainder of the game. Florida throwing everything at Skinner. Any chances. It's a whole mess. And then they pull the goalie. Bobrovsky's out of the net. The Oilers get the puck down the ice. Tkachuk makes a diving save. He fully extends his arm, loops it around. Unfortunately, Connor McDavid was right on the other side, and he shot it right into the empty net. But that is going to go down in one of the greatest plays that was ever made that ended up amounting to nothing. But phenomenal play by Tkachuk. His effort was unbelievable. and McDavid gets his that would be his 8th goal of the playoffs, 2nd of the game, unassisted. The Oilers take this one 5-3 going back to Edmonton, and wow, there was a game earlier on in the series or two that Edmonton probably deserved to win that Florida ended up taking because of Bobrovsky. And Florida's cracks are starting to show now. Edmonton's they're hungry. Edmonton, and I have a feeling that I honestly do believe that Edmonton is going to win this series. Just over the last 2 games, how good Edmonton has looked, aside from when they got pressured against because Florida was desperate. Florida now has all the hot seat on them. They were up 3-0. It's now 3-2 going back to Edmonton to tie the series. We have a series. It's anyone's series at this point, and it's going to be a fantastic finish, I can assure whatever's going to happen in Game 6 on Friday. Penalties in this game, Florida took 6, Edmonton had 4. A lot of people were saying Florida versus refs. There were some iffy calls there. There was the embellishment by Tkachuk, which I kind of agree with. Like, the way the stick was wrapped around Tkachuk, that did not look like that warranted that kind of reaction. Skinner getting run over, I'm surprised he didn't get an embellishment for that, to be honest, because that kind of looked way too staged. Other than that, not too many calls I can think of. Power plays, Florida goes 0 for 3, Edmonton goes 2 for 5. Sorry about that. Shots were 32-24 Florida. After the first, though, like Edmonton was going to run away with the game because they were up, I think, by double digits in shots. It might have been like 18-6 or something like that. Florida just comes back and dominates. They only had 3. I believe the Oilers only had 3 or 4 shots in the third. Hits were 44-16 Florida. Faceoffs 37-25 Florida. Skinner 29 saves on 32 shots. Bobrovsky 19 saves on 23 shots. And there's also been one missing figure for the Edmonton Oilers that I have yet to mention. Leon Draisaitl has been absent in 4 of the 5 games this series. Not meaning he hasn't played. He had 2 assists in Game 4. Has not appeared in Games 1, 2, 3, or 5 on the score sheet. If Draisaitl can get going and the Oilers are only winning with McDavid willing them to victory, the Oilers could very well win Game 6 at home and then go on to win in Florida in Game 7. I honestly don't have a team that I'm specifically rooting for. My edge is going to Edmonton just because of McDavid and how, if they come back from 3-0 down, how much history that makes right there. So I'm kind of rooting for that to happen, but again, I have nothing against Florida. Really nothing against the Oilers either. Just kind of enjoying this fantastic hockey we are seeing right now. But that's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. Tell me down below what you thought of Game 5. Who do you think is going to win Game 6? Of course, I was in a raffle that I picked Florida to win in 5 games, and I had Gustav Forsling getting the game-winning goal. That's no longer on the table, but overall, I'm happy with it. It's been a great series, and I'm excited to see where it takes us. I want to thank you all so much for watching once again, and I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.